The idea of lying on a beach as my main thing just sounds like the worst. It sounds horrible to me. I would go bonkers. I would have to be on serious drugs. I would be super duper bored. I like high intensity. You should be innovating so fast that you are invalidating your prior patents. As you heat the planet up, it's just like boiling a pot. Any product that needs a manual to work is broken. I think Tesla will most likely develop its own autopilot system for the car, as I think it should be camera-based, not LiDAR-based. However, it is also possible that we do something jointly with Google. Brand is just a perception, and perception will match reality over time. Sometimes it will be ahead, other times it will be behind. But brand is simply a collective impression some have about a product. I am not trying to be anyone's savior. I am just trying to think about the future and not be sad. But wait, there's more. The flamethrower is sentient, its safe word is cryptocurrency, and it comes with a free blockchain. Great companies are built on great products. Failure is an option here. If things are not failing, you are not innovating enough. Nobody ever changed the world on 40 hours a week. If you think back to the beginning of cell phones, laptops, or really any new technology, it's always expensive. Winning Motor Trend Car of the Year is probably the closest thing to winning the Oscar or any of the car industry. When Henry Ford made cheap, reliable cars, people said, "Nar, what is wrong with a horse?" That was a huge bet he made, and it worked. If we drive down the cost of transportation in space, we can do great things. I could either watch it happen or be a part of it. People often mistake technology for a static picture. It is less like a picture and more like a movie. It is the velocity of technology innovation that matters. It is the acceleration. If you had to buy a new plane every time you flew somewhere, it would be incredibly expensive. Stop being patient and start asking yourself, how do I accomplish my 10-year plan in 6 months? You will probably fail, but you will be a lot further ahead of the person who simply accepted it was going to take 10 years. I came to the conclusion that we should aspire to increase the scope and scale of human consciousness in order to better understand what questions to ask. Really, the only thing that makes sense is to strive for greater collective enlightenment. You could warm Mars up over time with greenhouse gases. Most people can learn a lot more than they think they can. They sell themselves short without trying. I feel very strongly that SpaceX would not have been able to get started, nor would we have made the progress that we have without the help of NASA. No, I do not ever give up. I would have to be dead or completely incapacitated. Being an entrepreneur is like eating glass and staring into the abyss of death. Life is too short for long-term grudges. One of the really tough things is figuring out what questions to ask. Once you figure out the question, then the answer is relatively easy. Do not confuse schooling with education. I didn't go to Harvard, but the people that work for me did. A battery, by definition, is a collection of cells. So the cell is a little can of chemicals, and the challenge is taking a very high-energy cell, and a large number of them, and combining them safely into a large battery. It is just mind-blowingly awesome. I apologize, and I wish I was more articulate, but it's hard to be articulate when your mind is blown, but in a very good way. We have this handy fusion reactor in the sky called the sun. You do not have to do anything. It just works. It shows up every day. There is a tremendous bias against taking risks. Everyone is trying to optimize their discovery. If humanity does not land on Mars in my lifetime, I would be very disappointed. Do not be afraid of new arenas. Boeing just took $20 billion in 10 years to improve the efficiency of their planes by 10%. That's pretty lame. I have a design in mind for a vertical liftoff supersonic jet that would be a really big improvement. I hate writing about personal stuff. I do not have a Facebook page. I do not use my Twitter account. I am familiar with both, but I do not use them. Constantly seek criticism. A well-thought-out critique of what you are doing is as valuable as gold. I am just trying to think about the future and not be sad. We're running the most dangerous experiment in history right now, which is to see how much carbon dioxide the atmosphere can handle before there is an environmental catastrophe. We need to figure out how to have the things we love and not destroy the world. I think it's very important to have a feedback loop where you are constantly thinking about what you are done and how you could be doing it better. It is really incumbent upon us, as life's agents, to extend life to another planet. I think that being a multi-planet species will significantly increase the richness and scope of the human experience. I just want to retire before I go senile, because if I do not retire before I go senile, then it'll do more damage than good at that point. Buy an overpriced boring company fire extinguisher. You can definitely buy one for less elsewhere, but this one comes with a cool sticker. One of the biggest mistakes we made was trying to automate things that are super easy for a person to do, but super hard for a robot to do. Stormy weather in Shortville. It is okay to have your eggs in one basket, as long as you control what happens to that basket. I think it is possible for ordinary people to choose to be extraordinary. I was raised by books, and then my parents. I am increasingly inclined to think there should be some regulatory oversight, maybe at the national and international level, just to make sure that we do not do something very foolish. The problem is that at a lot of big companies, process becomes a substitute for thinking. You're encouraged to behave like a little gear in a complex machine. Frankly, it allows you to keep people who are not that smart, who are not that creative. When I started SpaceX, I thought that the most likely outcome was failure. And I think to have any other expectation would have been irrational. There are really two things that have to occur in order for a new technology to be affordable to the mass market. One is you need economies of scale. The other is you need to iterate on the design. You need to go through a few versions.